Welcome to today's edition of the Rush 24/7 podcast.
Okay, so if the election is turning and if Hillary Clinton is losing ground, then I say if, why? What would be causing it, do you think? It's Friday, folks. Let us go.
Live from the Southern Command in sunny South Florida, it's Open Line Friday.
What would be causing it? Look, you can find all kinds of polling data. Washington Post tracking poll. What is she down? 8 points in the last 4 days. Now, there was a guy, somebody said the polls were going to tighten. Somebody said that. I remember hearing it. I listen to myself very closely when I speak. Somebody said that. 8 points in 4 days. And that's just the Washington Post poll. There's other polling data out there that shows something similar. So if Hillary Clinton is losing support, and look, the reason I say if, because look what they're asking us to believe, that public opinion shifts this wildly, an 8-point drop in 4 days. That would indicate that support for Hillary Clinton's very soft. I mean, if that can happen, or they were not telling the truth in the polls in the first place, which is my basic contention that polls are used as a weapon, that polls are used to make news and to shape opinion rather than reflect it. But at some point, these people in the polling business all want to maintain reputations. They all want to be as close to the end result as they can be, I think. Maybe some are so partisan they don't even care about that. They're just going to continue to weaponize their polls up to the end. But let's look at, since this is what we have to work with, and this is what the daily soap opera script is telling us, that what could be causing it? Why would Hillary be hemorrhaging support? What's happening out there to make this happen? And there are some ways you can answer that. I mean, there's some answers to the question, so I'm asking it. But I also, folks, I want you to be very, very aware of something. Because I wouldn't put anything past anybody on the left in this election. Because I'm here to tell you, as much as we have talked about it, I don't think we've gotten close to describing and nailing the sheer panic that exists on the left at the thought of losing this. I can't think of a way to describe, if you were about to lose everything, if you knew that you were going to lose everything in a week to 10 days, what would you be thinking? What would you be doing? How would that affect you? That's what we're talking about here. Being in the establishment, being in the political power structure is everything. People in that club or in that group of people, it is how they derive practically 100% of their self-worth. It is how they derive their standard of living, their lifestyle. It is how they secure the future for their kids. This network of wires and conventions and connections, networking and so forth, is how they live. It's how they insulate themselves from the everyday forces of life that people not in that club don't have as much ability to insulate themselves. And it's a very, very special thing to be in the establishment. Oftentimes you get in there by birth, you get in by family name, you get in by resume, you get in by where you went to school. A lot of it's legacy. You're in it because your parents or your family was in it. It's very rare for outsiders to come in and crash it and stay there. It happens, but it's very rare. If you're on the verge of losing everything, and whether it's everything for real or not, but in your mind, losing this election means you lose everything. I think a lot of people on our side already have that attitude, in the sense that losing this election is tantamount to losing the country. And for people on our side, it is the country. It's the founding of our country. It's the Constitution. It is our capitalist system of economics and government that provides future opportunity for them and their kids and their families. It is the country. It's the way the country was founded, the way the country is structured, the way the country operates, where those opportunities are. And this election, to many people, represents a closing down of those opportunities because of a dramatic transformation of the country. People inside the establishment don't depend on the country. They don't depend on the principles of the founding, per se. They depend on the connections being in the club gives them. Now, I've talked to many people. You have too, and you've heard it said. You've read it. Other people do think this election is about the country, holding on to the country as founded, losing in the country. And then one of the reasons that's so crucial to people is because that's their kids' future. It's their grandkids' future. The United States of America, with its focus on individual freedom and liberty, merit-based achievement, all of that, that has been what has made the United States exceptional and different from most other, practically all other nations in human history on Earth. And if we are to lose that status by virtue of losing an election, because the people who will win want to close off those opportunities, want to basically say that America as founded is corrupt, America as founded is unfair, America needs to be transformed, and you know the drill, what the Democrats stand for. So people on our side have the same attitude about this election that people in the establishment do, but the people in the establishment have much more power individually and within their group. They run everything. And the prospect of losing it, I cannot describe to you the kind of fear and panic it causes. And that's why I think all bets are off in terms of what those people would do to hold on to what they've got. It's human nature. And I just want to reemphasize this because there's still a lot of time and there's a lot of tricks that can still be pulled. What happens, let's say, here's the Washington Post tracking poll. Hillary's lost 8 points in 4 days, and they're all out there making a big deal of it. And I can cite you a couple of other polls here where similar downward trajectory by Mrs. Clinton's taking place. What happens if the polls on Monday or Tuesday next week show her regaining it all? How are you going to feel? You're going to, oh, no. You're going to be one measure of angry, another measure of depressed. And I'm just want to take the occasion of the program here today again to once again tell you nobody knows. It isn't over. There are too many factors in this election that do not have enough precedence for there to be accurate projections, predictions, calculations. That's primarily because of the presence of Trump. We don't even know, for example, what percentage of Trump supporters of these rallies are even Republican? We don't really know. I have an audio soundbite today. Somebody says, they're not Republicans. They're not Republicans. This is the biggest joke on Republicans. Trump supporters are not Republicans. Nobody knows what is going on. But so let's deal with what we have today. If the polls change dramatically in the other way next week, we'll deal with that as that happens. I'm not going to predict it. I just want to warn you that they will do anything. They, meaning the Democrats and Republicans, the Washington, New York, Boston power corridor, they're not going to just sit by and let this happen. They're going to do everything they can to influence the outcome. They have the power to do so. That's one of the perks of being in the establishment. You run the American political system. You run the government. It's a massive, massive undertaking to wrest control from the establishment, from the elites, from the ruling class. And that happening is closer to reality than anybody ever dreamed it would be. Hence all the panic out there, particularly on the Hillary side of things. But what if it's legit, if she's losing 8 points in 4 days? And I have no reason to think she's not. Don't misunderstand. What's causing it? Why are people changing their mind? Why are people abandoning Hillary? Or why are independents making up their minds and moving away from Hillary into Trump? What could be causing this? It has to be this WikiLeaks never-ending drip, 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 drip email dump. It is incredible. The next drop, I think, will be number 20. And the thing that is happening here, the drive-bys are not succeeding in suppressing it. It is out there. The data, the information, and specifically about one thing. Something is breaking out. Something is breaking through in all of this. It's not Benghazi. It's not Hillary's health. It's not the fact that she boozes it up during the daytime, apparently. You heard that? Daytime consumer of adult beverages. Yes, emails have been released of Clinton staffers asking each other, should we sober her up now? It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Yeah. Go back to 2015. It's not that. It's not Benghazi. It's not the 3 a.m. phone call. It's, you know what it is? It's this Clinton Foundation stuff. This Clinton Foundation stuff, strange as it may seem, may be breaking out. And what it is illustrating is the fraud that the Clintons actually are. Went through it in great detail yesterday. They set up the Clinton Foundation. Inside that foundation is the Clinton Global Initiative. And it's all disguised as a charitable enterprise to serve humanity. And it was all set up so Bill Clinton could recapture his great reputation and image following the Lewinsky scenario that soiled the last 4 years of his presidency. Had to do it. And so becoming engaged in worldwide charities was meant to help people forget the reprobate factor of Bill Clinton's presidency. But what happened, what the real purpose of the Clinton Foundation was, which people are now beginning to see, was to get rich, to get personally rich. And I've got a story in the stack today, Howard Feynman and Chris Matthews talking about this very thing. And I swear when I read this, I think they're channeling me. When Feynman is describing the Clintons of Arkansas and how they were surrounded by all kinds of rich donors and wealthy people, and they didn't have a pot to pee in, they became obsessed with becoming rich, getting rich like all of their donors and all of their buddies and friends in the Democrat Party. So they start out with their Renaissance weekend to start networking with all these rich people and eventually shaking them down for donations at the Lincoln bedroom and so forth. And then that eventually becomes, hey, after you donate to the Clinton Foundation, we want you to pay Bill Clinton $3.9 million as a consulting fee for your company. And these companies would do it, as we have learned. And the question is why? Why, after you make a charitable donation to Clinton Foundation, and it was Doug Band and his emails which are giving this up. I mean, these people were being pursued. They were being hit up. They were getting a sales pitch. Donate to the Clinton Foundation and then, pay Bill an additional $3 to consult for your company. Or pay Hillary X amount for a number of speeches or whatever. And that went to them personally. And what was going on was an assumption that the Clintons would look very favorably on these people that were both hiring them and donating to their foundation if and when they ever had a chance to get back in positions of power. Well, Hillary did, as Secretary of State. Now she's seeking the White House. And a bunch of people have contributed, quote-unquote, donated, quote-unquote, paid the Clintons with major, major expectations. But that gets in the weeds. Where it is easy to understand is that the Clintons have gotten personally rich out of all this, and that's something that's hard to do. In taking a 501c3 nonprofit, you have a charitable foundation. A normal person that donates money to their foundation, it's gone. You might get to write it off, but you don't get to go grab it and put it back in your pocket and live off of it. It's gone from your stash of money. It's gone. But the Clintons found a way to get to it. And they have become phenomenally wealthy while trying to deny all of it. I think some of this may be breaking out in terms of understanding. Then this may not be a big deal, but, yesterday Michelle Mabel Obama did a joint appearance with the Hildebeest. Well, guess who introduced who? The Hildebeest introduced the First Lady. Hillary Clinton allowed herself to be upstaged at her own rally, played second fiddle at her own rally. Needs to feed off of somebody that's loved out there, and Michelle Obama is, and Hillary isn't. So there's a lot of factors that go into this. So look, I'm going to take a break here. We're going to come back and review the polling data a little bit. We've got fascinating news outside of politics today, too. Guy predicting riots next year when people find out what their health care premiums are going to be. More polling data on the NFL and the fact that it is these national anthem protests, which are almost solely responsible for the drop in TV ratings. And, of course, the league doesn't want to hear it. The league won't talk about it. The league certainly won't admit it, but it appears to be the elephant in the room nobody wants to reference. Drive-by media montage here, responding to the polls tightening by saying Trump has a narrow path to victory. Listen to this. It's about a half a minute long.
Does Donald Trump have a path to 270 electoral votes? Looking at the map, it is tough.
There's basically no path for him to win.
The path is narrowing. The path to victory is narrowing.
It's a narrow path. They acknowledge that privately.
It's a very narrow path. How does he get to 270?
Trump has a narrow path to 270 electoral votes.
Very, very difficult, very narrow path.
Trump has a very narrow path.
How difficult the path is for Trump.
Their path to 270 is, in their words, an uphill climb.
Steep, improbable even, Donald Trump's path.
Is there a path to victory for Donald Trump at this point?
No.
That was Peter Hart. So you see, the polls are tightening. Hillary has lost 8 points in the Washington Post. Some of the other polls we've chronicled yesterday and will do so today. And so the drive-bys, you remember the sound bites yesterday. John King at CNN, oh my God, yes, if the election is about the economy and healthcare, yes, Trump can win. And we had 2 or 3 other drive-bys yesterday, going from Trump can't win and Trump can win. And then somebody got hold, you guys can't say that. You can't say Trump can win. So they've revised it now, and the way you see the coordinated script here, every one of these people, the polls are narrowing, but Trump doesn't have, it's a narrow path. A narrow path. It may not even be a path. Narrow. The polls tightening don't mean anything, you see. So somebody got hold of these fallouts yesterday and brought them back to reality. We will continue. Meeting and surpassing all audience expectations every day. Rush Limbaugh behind the golden EIB microphone. So yesterday, when the polling numbers were changing dramatically against Mrs. Clinton, the drive-by media we played the sound bites for you. Yeah, Trump can win. Oh my God, Trump can win. Yeah, if the election is about the economy, it's about health care, Trump can win. If it's about personality and competence, Hillary will win. And I was dumbfounded here, as I'm sure you heard, Because I wonder, how can these people turn on a dime? I mean, the day before yesterday, they were telling us Trump was toast. Trump had no prayer. And that's been their line for the past 2 months, that Trump is toast, that it's over, that it's a landslide, it's humiliating, it's going to be so embarrassing that Trump's going to move to the South American continent and never, ever be seen again. That's how bad it is. Then the polls come out, and yesterday Trump can win. Somebody didn't like that. Somebody who writes the soap opera script for the drive-bys. You can't say on CNN that Trump can win, so the message went out. It has to work this way, because we've got a 30-second montage here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people with the same phrase. Trump does not have a path to victory. There's no path. Trump can't win. The path is narrowing. He doesn't have a path. The path is very narrow. Some of the same people who yesterday said, hey, you know what? Hey, Trump can win this thing. So they got their minds right. It's just eerie. We know that this is coordinated, and we now know that all this comes from the Clinton campaign. That's another thing. The WikiLeaks email dump has shown the collaboration between the Democrats and the media is undeniable. In this case, it's a collaboration between the Clinton campaign, but the Harry Reid office collaborates with the media and vice versa. And Chuck Schumer and all the other, Barbara Boxer and Pelosi, they all coordinate. In this case, the coordination is coming from the presidential campaign. It's what's most important right now. But clearly, this is what's happening. Here's George Stephanopoulos breaking the news on the ABC poll being down to 4 points. This happened this morning in Good Morning America.
Breaking right now, our brand new poll shows a 4-point race as Hillary calls on her most powerful weapon, joining Michelle Obama on the trail for the first time.
Her most powerful weapon is Michelle My Belle Obama. Her most powerful weapon. Not herself. Not her stance on the issues. Not her agenda. No, her most powerful weapon is Michelle Obama. Somebody who can transfer credibility to Hillary, because Hillary does not possess it on her own. Well, here are the details. Donald Trump has gained on Hillary Clinton during the past week, according to a new Washington Post ABC News daily tracking poll, solidifying support among core Republican groups, as well as political independents. Roughly 6 in 10 still expect Clinton to win, while the poll finds shrinking concerns about the accuracy of the vote count and voter fraud. So there's a lot wrapped up in that paragraph. So Hillary's support has dwindled in a week by 8 points, but it's no big deal because 60% of the respondents still think Hillary's going to win, and many people are beginning to doubt that there's any fraud going on, that there won't be any fraud. A shrinking concern, shrinking number of people worried about the accuracy of the vote. Let me translate it further. Yeah, Hillary's down 8 points. It doesn't matter. 6 out of 10 people still think she's going to win, and an increasing number of people think that Trump is Looney Tunes for running around saying the election is going to be rigged. That's what that first paragraph means. Here are the real numbers. Clinton holds a slight 48-44 advantage over Trump among likely voters. The Libertarian placeholder, Gary Johnson, at 4%. The Green Party placeholder, Jill Stein, at 1%. Survey was Sunday through through yesterday. Sunday through yesterday. Wednesday, sorry, this is Friday. Man, the week is going by. Clinton held a 6-point edge in the previous wave and a 12-point edge in the first wave of the tracking poll. So, if you look at the headline, Clinton lead shrinks, even as nearly 60% expect her to win. So if you look at that headline, no low information voter is going to drill down to see that Hillary only leads Trump by 4 points. I will, and of course I will then pass it on to you. But your average low-information news consumer who might run into this on Facebook or at Yahoo News, Clinton lead shrinks, but 60% think she's going to win anyway. Trump's growth in support from 38 to 44% is fueled by support among Republican-leaning voting groups, as well as a significant boost among political independents. So you could say that some Republicans are starting to come home, and the independents are starting to shift to Trump. In fact, Trump saw his biggest gains among political independents, favoring Trump by a 12-point margin in this latest poll. Sizable minorities of likely voters expressed concerns about fraud and inaccuracy, though worries about both have declined in the past month. Fewer than 40% now say voter fraud occurs very or somewhat often. That's down from 47% in September. Studies of voter fraud have found that it is indeed very, very rare, says the Washington Post. Every drive-by article includes this claim that voter fraud isn't any voter fraud, and an increasing number of people know that there's no voter fraud. And they dismiss every report of voter fraud as anecdotal or user error. But meanwhile, they've got all those monitors out there. There's no vote fraud going on. The drive-bys tell us there isn't any fraud, and more Americans understand there isn't any fraud, but we have an increasing number of poll watchers, don't we? And we have an increasing number of Democrat lawyers out there watching the proceedings. Now, there's this. We've got audio to go along with this, too. Let me find what number to get right up to number 7. Audio soundbite number 7. This is the kind of stuff that starts popping up in the latter days of a campaign. There's another one last week that showed Trump was going to win, and this guy has never missed. This guy has only missed one election, and it was Gore and Bush. But every election in the last century and this one, this guy's formula works. And that formula is to measure enthusiasm during the primaries. Remember that? I mentioned it last week. And this guy projected Trump the big winner because from the moment the primaries began, there hasn't been anybody even close to him in enthusiasm. And this guy measures that and combines it with social media things the way he supposedly scientifically does it. The guy last week projected Trump the winner. Here's another one. Trump will win the election and is more popular than Obama in 2008, according to an artificial intelligence system. An AI system that correctly predicted the last 3 presidential elections puts Trump ahead of the Hildebeest in the race for the White House. This AI entity here was developed by Sanjeev Ray, the founder of Indian startup Genic AI, artificial intelligence. What it does, it takes in 20 million data points from public platforms including Google, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube in the U.S., then analyzes the information and creates predictions. And this system says that Trump is going to win bigger than anybody can conceive. He's more popular now than Obama was in 2008. And the guy appeared, on CNBC's international network, Squawk Box Europe, this morning. And here is how he explained it.
The polls that put Hillary Clinton ahead of Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump are wrong. That's according to an artificial intelligence system that's managed to predict the last 3 general elections correctly. The AI called MOG-IA was developed by Indian entrepreneur Sanjeev Rai and takes into account information from Google, Facebook, Twitter and YouTube in the US, then analyzes it to create predictions. Data such as engagement with tweets or Facebook Live videos have been tracked. The result is that Trump has overtaken the engagement numbers of Barack Obama's peak in 2008, the year he came into power, by 25%. Rai said that the candidate in each election who has leading engagement data ends up winning the election.
I misspoke. That's not the actual artificial intelligence guru who designed the app. That's the reporter to correspondent for CNBC International, Arjun Karpal. And I quickly read this. I thought we were going to get the words of the actual founder, but we didn't. That's just the reporter. But there's the sum up. There's the theory behind it. And these kinds of things always start popping up as we neared the... No, my gut's not... I still don't know. I told you yesterday I don't know, and I don't know now. My gut's like a lean... Folks, it's really hard. I mean, we have to constantly fight being moved one direction or another by what we watch and what we read. And you really have to fight not being moved by the stuff you want to be right. Like a lot of people will see this. Oh, yeah, they want it to be right. They want it to be... They don't just want Trump to win. They want these Democrats skunks. They want it demonstrated that the Democrats are not loved by anywhere near half this country. So they're glom on that. You got to be careful. You got to be really careful. You don't allow the stuff you want to be true. If you want to get it right, and if you want to remain objective, the Democrats are not doing this. The Democrats are all in. They're taking their own polling data, and that's all they need. You can turn on CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, NBC, New York. It doesn't matter. It's over. Trump in a landslide defeat. And they're already on CNN. They're going state by state, showing you how it's going to happen before a single vote has been cast. I just saw John King telling everybody how Hillary's going to win Georgia. He's going county by county. We haven't counted any votes. He's not counting early votes. He's doing polling data projections. And then after that, they went to Utah. Then they went to Colorado. Then they went to Texas. I mean, if you watch this thing, they're already making it look like this is election night. The way they're covering this, you got to be real careful. No, my gut doesn't tell me anything yet. If it did, I would share it with you, but I don't have a feel for it yet. Okay, to the phones we go here. Open Line Friday. I got a couple sound bites coming up that literally prove the point that I just made about the media. Literally prove it. We'll get to him in a moment. We have Luke from Detroit on the phone. It says, Luke, that you are 19 years old. This is your first election. Is that right?
That is absolutely right. It's a pleasure to be on the show, Rush.
Thank you for calling. Great to have you here. What's up?
So, this is my first election voting, and I want to speak for a lot of people my age that I feel like are thinking the exact same way and feeling the same way as I am, and that is Hillary is definitely not the one. I think that's pretty obvious to a lot of us, but I still feel very fearful, honestly, about electing somebody like Donald Trump, somebody that I feel like could literally start a war with his temper almost. And it's like, there are definitely things that I like about him as well. But, Rush, I was just going to ask you, how can I feel better about officially voting for Donald Trump?
Great question. It's a great question, and I'm so glad you called. No, really, because it's going to afford me an opportunity to try to explain something. Can I ask you, you say your fear of Trump is that you think he might start a war, nuclear war. What is it that's making you afraid of Trump?
Well, I have to say, even just I watched all the debates, and when his passion can get aroused, I just feel like he sometimes almost like loses control of himself. And I'm just thinking, like, a lot of these international diplomatic relationships are extremely delicate. And I just think if he can lose his temper that easily, that just makes me nervous, like, that so many lives are endangered and he can just start a war that easily just from his bad temper, you know?
Okay, so. This is... You're 19, and you're going through one of these for the first time as a voter. You might have seen a campaign 4 years ago, but you couldn't vote. But you're 19, you're an adult now. And the first thing I would tell you that what you're seeing in this campaign is standard operating procedure about Republican candidates. And Ronald Reagan in 1980... the Democrats and the media ran the same scam. We can't trust this man with his finger next to the nuclear button. He's a loose cannon. He's off his mind. He's an idiot. He's a dunce, and we can't trust him. What you're seeing, now you did say that your assessment of Trump is what you're seeing from Trump himself. But how much of it is also due to what's being reported about Trump? How much of that is causing it?
That's true. It's a good point. I've noticed that a lot, even just with the media. He's always made to seem like such a fool. Absolutely.
Well, what I want to try to convince you of, and you're going to have to believe me, and I've got no reason to lie to you here. What is happening to Trump in terms of the way he is being reported on and cast with the media is the way every Republican presidential candidate has been treated in my life. I'm 65. What they're doing to Trump, the way they're portraying Trump, is common. It may be your first time going through it. It may unnerve you. It may, my God, if we had somebody more reasonable, they wouldn't be doing this. There wouldn't be so many people afraid of Trump. They turned Mitt Romney into a walking Lucifer who killed his dog and didn't care if the female employees or wives of his employees died from cancer. So I think Trump does not scare me from the standpoint that you mentioned. We're in more wars today under Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton, Luke, than under George W. Bush or Ronald Reagan. And yet they tell you that Bush lied and people died and we were all over the Middle East. We've got more troops in more hot spots around the world. We don't know how to do diplomacy. These people don't know how to do diplomacy. And I would argue, what's diplomacy got in this? These people supposedly experts at it, the soft sell, being reasonable, being intelligent, being from the faculty lounge at Harvard. People are walking all over us. The Russians at this moment are taunting us and threatening us. Nobody's afraid of us. I think Trump would be a welcome change in a lot of ways. But I'm glad you called. I understand what you're going through, but I wish... He said Reagan was too dangerous. It was Reagan who ended the Soviet Union without firing a shot, Luke. They said Goldwater was going to destroy the world with nuclear weapons, and they're saying it about Trump. They say it about all of us, Luke. Hi, how are you? Welcome back. Great to have you, Rush Limbaugh, behind the golden EIB microphone. Here we go on Friday, folks. You know what that means?
Live from the Southern Command in sunny South Florida, it's Open Line Friday.
Oh, well, look at this. The FBI is reopening the investigation into Clinton's email use. Holy smokes! Wait till I hear about that on CNN. Holy smokes! Whoa! Now my mind's going crazy here, wondering what could be behind this. I don't have any more information than that. They did, huh? They found some additional emails pertinent to the investigation. FBI reopening investigation into Clinton's email use. Whew. They found some additional emails pertinent to the investigation. CNN still doesn't know yet. Either that or they are going to suppress the news. They can't suppress that. What a time to announce that. You know, this is going to change. This is going to change a lot of people's analysis of the original investigation. It's going to change a lot of people's analysis of Comey's press conference. We don't know enough to really make any assessments here. Of course, folks, it's entirely possible what could happen here. I told you in the first hour. Let me go about it this way. Everybody's worried that Trump will not concede, which I think is an outright joke. I think what was happening with that is the attempt to portray Trump as uncivilized, as not qualified to actually function in our precious political structure and system. Did you hear what Trump said? Trump said he would wait to decide whether he's going to accept the outcome until the election's over. That's just not done. We in the faculty lounge so profoundly disapprove of that kind of attitude. I'm here to tell you, if Trump loses this, and there's no question about it, he'll concede. You know who's not going to go easily? the left, if Trump wins this concern about what's going to happen afterward is totally misplaced, folks. You think that Black Lives Matter, you think that Planned Parenthood, you think that all these anti-Second Amendment groups are just going to lay down and just casually accept the results? Do you think the Democrat Party, look at Florida 2000, if you think that the problem is on the Republican side here, I'm here to tell you if the Democrats lose this election, I don't care how close it is. If they lose this election, that's what has me concerned over what's going to happen in the streets in this country. Because these people on social media on the left, these trolls that habitate these sewers out there, folks, we know that the Hillary campaign has been working with a bunch of people buying militant, violent protesters to invade Trump rallies and so forth. These are people that they're not going to wait for the outcome to happen on its own. They're not going to casually sit by. They're doing everything they can to shape the outcome of the election, just like they are in the polls, folks. And if it goes against them, I shudder to think, but what is possible. But my point is, they are trying to make everybody think that Trump is the loose cannon and that Trump supporters are the powder keg out there, and it's just the exact opposite. Now, to our young people, I want to go back to something, our last call at the conclusion of the previous hour. Okay, Jason Chaffetz has announced that the FBI has discovered new email messages and is reopening the case on Hillary Clinton. Jason Chaffetz tweeted a couple of minutes ago, FBI director just informed me the FBI has learned of the existence of emails that appear to be pertinent to the investigation. Case reopened. Hot damn. This investigation will not conclude by the time of the election, folks. What, you think it will? No, it can't. This election cannot possibly conclude by a week from Tuesday. So it's been reopened. So there are brand new emails that have been discovered. Pertinent. Do they come from WikiLeaks? Has the WikiLeaks dump shown emails that Comey didn't have? Are there emails the FBI didn't get, didn't see, didn't find? Where do these emails come from? We will know this in due course. The Clinton campaign is going to be livid over this. They thought they had this slam dunked and put away. I have all kinds of questions going through my mind about this now. About Comey, his stellar reputation before this happened. We look at all that has happened to end this investigation, to suppress it, to basically conclude it with everybody thinking, good grief, there was all kinds of intent here. There were all kinds of criminal activity. The WikiLeaks dump. All of these emails that have been procured via WikiLeaks indicate that there was a lot there to be found that the FBI didn't find or looked the other way when they saw it. It must be profound for them to reopen the investigation. Whatever they have must be pretty stunning. But the Hillary campaign, the Obama DOJ. I mean, here's Loretta Lynch meeting with Bill Clinton on the tarmac in Phoenix. And that gets the investigation shut down. Hillary Clinton gets a 3-hour interview 2 days before Comey announces everything on this. They granted immunity to Hillary's number one aide, Cheryl Mills, and then allowed her to be called a lawyer. She's not a lawyer. She's not Hillary Clinton's lawyer. But for the purposes of Hillary's interview, they okayed the idea that she was a lawyer, and then that invoked attorney-client privilege, which meant that Cheryl Mills could not be forced to tell anybody what she knew Clinton was doing regarding this FBI stuff. This was as corrupt, and it was as corrupt as it could be right in front of our eyes. The corruption was there. We could see it. It didn't have to be reported to us. Cheryl Mills is not a lawyer. Well, she may be a lawyer. That's not her function with Hillary. She's never been Hillary's lawyer. She's an aide. She's a PR person. She's an assistant, like Huma Abedin-Danger is. But then she gets to sit in on Hillary's interview with the FBI as Hillary's lawyer, which invokes attorney-client privilege, which means Mills can't be asked anything. They granted her immunity. She turned over her laptop, and they destroyed the laptop, which means they destroyed evidence. All of this happened in clear view of people who know what's going on. It was highly irregular. A lot of people's reputations took a big hit when Comey's press conference made it clear they were not going to pursue Hillary despite the evidence he laid out. He laid out indictment after indictment after indictment and then said no reasonable prosecutor would bring charges here because we just couldn't find intent. Well, they must have found intent now. Because that was the one thing that was protecting Mrs. Clinton. No reasonable prosecutor would carry this forward because they couldn't find any intention on her part to break the law. But now they found some pertinent emails pertinent to the investigation, which could mean that they shine a light on intent. Look, I'm vamping here. I'll have a little bit more time to put some things together. And something else, folks, I want to prepare you. Look, they could announce the reopening today and then Tuesday announce the end of the investigation. Nothing there. Got to be prepared for anything here. This could be a reopening for a couple of days to satisfy other political concerns covering somebody else's rear end. There could be a number of things we don't know going on here. But they're not going to be able to conclude this investigation before the election. They're not, things don't move that fast. And the Clinton team's not going to be participating in this fast enough for that kind of resolution to take place. Where will Bill meet Loretta Lynch? This probably Fort Marcy Park. I was going to ask Luke, our 19-year-old caller, if he'd ever heard of Fort Marcy Park. But, time just didn't permit me to do that. But, Luke, I know you're still out there. Let me make another point to you, Luke, and all of you young people. It is really important. I'm glad he called. He's 19 years old. He's scared of Trump. He doesn't like Hillary, but he's worried about Trump. And I elicited from him that one of the reasons he's worried about Trump is the way Trump's portrayed in the media. And he talked about Trump seems erratic. He gets so wound up and so passionate. I don't know if I want a guy like that being able to order a nuclear strike on people. Oh, that just makes me nervous. And I took the occasion to point out that they try to rouse that fear about every Republican nominee, Goldwater, Reagan, not specifically George W. Bush, but they went at it in the same way. Stupid, inexperienced, Doomkopf. Doesn't know what he's doing. You ever heard George Bush speak? He can't talk. He's an idiot. This is what they said about him. But Luke, here's the thing. This is what you need to know. You don't need to worry about Donald Trump and nuclear weapons. You need to worry about Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton. They have authorized nuclear weapons for Iran, Luke. The world's state sponsor of terrorism is now on path, sanctioned by the United States, to create nuclear weapons. We are going to make it possible for them. We have eliminated all sanctions against them. We have paid them $1.7 billion lifting those sanctions, including a $400 million cash ransom in foreign currencies to release American sailors that Iran was holding hostage. You want to talk about fear? We're dealing with abject incompetence, Luke, in both cases of Obama and Hillary Clinton. And incompetence is the nicest categorization. It could be worse. There could be something else other than they're nice to explain this. Or naive, or what have you. But if you're going to sit there and be worried about what Trump would do nuclear weapons, you've got to know that it's Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton who have made it possible for Iran to nuke up. And that's in nobody's best interests. It's not in the best interests of our ally Israel. It's not in the best interests of ourselves. Trump is not your concern in this regard. Hillary Clinton is. Obama and Hillary happily enabling Iran to become a nuclear power. And they would be, well, Israel has never admitted it, but we know they have nukes. But that would be it. Iran and Israel in the Middle East. Pakistan off to the west has nukes. And, of course, the Russians do. But this is entirely irresponsible. You know, and Hillary's running around talking about what a great deal it was, and Obama's running around talking about what a great deal it was, and Trump is characterizing it as one of the dumbest and stupid deals. CNN is playing down this new investigation by the FBI. Trying to play it down, saying that the FBI just looking at some other emails. There's nothing really to see here. The headline, banner headline, CNN, FBI new emails found related to Clinton investigation. The subhead FBI director will be examined to see if they have classified information. So that's where this is going to go. Well, the WikiLeaks email dump is clearly demonstrated that classified information was being passed back and forth. The reason this didn't go anywhere, folks, let's remember here, the reason this investigation really didn't go anywhere is because Barack Obama would have been ensnared. Barack Obama was emailing Hillary Clinton on her private server, and therefore everything he emails is, by definition, classified. Everything he sends is categorized classified. And he's emailing back and forth with Mrs. Clinton using a fake name. And he lied about that. He told everybody, the American people, that he didn't know Hillary was using a private server until he saw it on the news. He learned about it when all the rest of us learned about it. It wasn't true. Well, how did Comey deal with that? The way they dealt with that was very simple. We're not going to do an investigation here that's going to indict the Democrat nominee for president or the president. We're in an election year. We're not going there. The FBI will wash its hands of this. This is above our pay scale. It was something along those lines. But something's happened to force this to be reopened, and we'll keep following it and pass on whatever we learn that we think's important as we learn it. You know, everybody's dealing with this on the fly. CNN is saying it's just a shame that the Republicans have so politicized Comey that we don't know that we're going to be able to believe anything forthcoming here. Comey's letter, by the way, is addressed to numerous House committee chairmen, not just Jason Chaffetz. My thinking on this is, and I'm a layman, and I don't want to jump the gun here and assume things that are not known, but I can't imagine that they would reopen this investigation if this are just an inquiry. There has to be something here. They have to know that there is proof of guilt now. Or they have to be fairly certain of that. They wouldn't embarrass themselves by reopening this, especially at this stage of the campaign with this kind of heat that they have to know this is going to cause. I mean, they're not living in a vacuum there. Comey knows full well what this is going to cause. And just to do an inquiry here, I think that they found guilt. I think there was guilt the first time around that they overlooked for political reasons. You know, if Obama doesn't want somebody to be indicted or prosecuted, they're not going to be. Here's Sarah in Richmond, Virginia. I'm glad you waited. You're next on Open Line Friday. Hi.
Rush, thank you so much. It is an incredible honor. I homeschool my 3 children. We have all of your Rush Revere books, and we're rereading some of them, and my children just adore them and you. So thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you very, very much. I really appreciate that.
I wanted to go back to the question that you had at the beginning of the show about the left being on the verge of losing everything, potentially, and I think they are. I believe that WikiLeaks and Project Veritas have given insight into otherwise the lower information voters, and now everybody's heard of it. Everybody's either Googled it or caught wind of it somehow, and it's finally exposing more people to the process leading up to our elections and blowing open the issue of corruption as it relates to Hillary and her campaign. And they're seeing that this is one big game and that they're becoming very wise to it. And now there's an expectation that the left is going to work its magic and dig up some kind of dirt. The women thing, I don't think worked as much as Megyn Kelly wants to continue to stoke that fire. So now what are they going to do in the next 10 days that is not going to look contrived? Who's really going to believe whatever it is they're putting out there? Time's running out. These polls are changing with the wind every day. But what's in that wind that's causing Hillary to be up 3 points on IBD today? I just don't understand. But I think people are becoming more wise to this, and that's why I think Trump is really going to clinch it.
Well, we'll see. I'll tell you, the WikiLeaks story has finally broken out now, or broken through, depending on terminology. And it's front page, Washington Post, New York Times. And the aspect of it that has broken through is the corruption at the Clinton Foundation. Somehow, the fact that Chelsea Clinton went to Doug Band and said, look, I don't like the way you're doing this. You're making us look like a bunch of hustlers here, which they are. They always have been. The Clinton Foundation has always been about hustling donations and payments for Bill and Hillary so they could get rich. That's what its purpose was. Now, I'll react to some of the other things you said when I come back from the break, which is happening right now, so do not go away. Okay, would you like to hear how a cynic, a genuine cynic, reacts to this FBI story? You want to hear the real cynical view. There's always a spoil sport in every group, right? There's always somebody who just can't wait to throw cold water on everything. There's always somebody who claims to know what's really going on, and it blows you out of the water and just ruins your day. Here is that person. Here is what that, whoever, I mean, you all know one of these people. Every one of us knows the chief cynic in our group of friends. The cynical view of the FBI reopening the case into Hillary Clinton emails goes this way. Comey is just doing this to take everybody's attention off of the WikiLeaks email dump. He's going to make everybody think for the next 3 or 4 days that there's really something to be forthcoming here. I mean, opening the investigation, reopening it is a big deal. He knows that everybody's going to say, wow, there must be something brand new that's dynamite. There must be something that's going to just end it for her. And then everybody focuses on what it is, and they drop reporting the WikiLeaks scandal, which is starting to have negative impact on the Clintons. The WikiLeaks scandal right now is starting to hurt because it's exposing the fraud and the hustling and the collusion, the corruption that's going on at the Clinton Foundation. You start messing around with things that are supposed to be charitable to serve humanity, you end up profiting personally from it. That's easy to understand. Everybody knows that's not nice. Everybody understands that you are not supposed to get rich off of a charity. And the news here is that the Clintons have done that and are doing that. That's easy to understand. So, as Hillary starts plummeting in the polls, 8 points down in the Washington Post, riding to the rescue, the Lone Ranger, James Comey, announcing that they're reopening the FBI investigation into Hillary Clinton's emails. Everybody stops talking about what is easily portrayed and is easily understandable in the WikiLeaks story and starts speculating on what Comey and the FBI are doing, all the while, nobody knows. That's the cynical view. The cynical view is that Comey is still carrying water for Clinton and is trying to get everybody to stop paying attention on the WikiLeaks dump because it's starting to have an impact. So you announce you're opening the inquiry, get everybody all hot and bothered and focused on it. And then after 3 or 4 or 5 days, announce that it was a false alarm. Nothing to see here. Investigation now officially over. And meanwhile, in that 5-day period, everybody's forgotten about WikiLeaks. That is the cynical view of this. That is, if you know a cynic, that would be the way the cynic would interpret this. And I'm looking at Snerdley's face, and he thinks, you know what? There could be something to it. There could be something to it. Here's a quote from Comey in the letter to the chairman of the various committees. I am writing to inform you that the investigative team briefed me on this yesterday, and I agreed the FBI should take appropriate investigative steps designed to allow investigators to review these emails to determine whether they contain classified information, as well as to assess their importance to our investigation. Now, what I don't get about this is that Comey already said her emails have classified information. He just couldn't find any intent that she did it on purpose. So it's not news that she was trafficking classified information. What's news is that Obama lied about it. That's what's news is that Obama knew, and he was doing it too under a fake name. So if he's already acknowledged that she was trafficking in classified information, do they have something to show bad intent now? Is that what they've come across, that there's something that now definitely shows intent to do this? The WikiLeaks dump shows it. Hell, everybody in her staff talking about this knows it was the wrong thing to do. They're all talking about how to shield it, how to stop it, how to protect it. Why did she do it? You got the emails, 2 or 3 of them. I forget the actual people. Cheryl Mills might be one of them. Huma Abedin might be one. Asking, what is she doing? Why is she doing it? Everybody knew it was wrong. Yeah, near a tendon of teneo. Yeah, that's the woman. The whole bunch of people. So what could it be? What is your theorem, Mr. Snerdley? You said you had another take. Oh, my gosh. Okay, here's Snerdley's theory is the FBI does their own internal polling. And the FBI is looking at things here, and they realize there might be a new sheriff in town here in a couple of weeks. And they might want to get on the right side of things with the new sheriff. You're talking about Sheriff Trump, right? Yeah. That's not what the FBI is supposed to do. See, the FBI is one of these institutions that we used to be able to count on, depend, and what they told you was true. If there was DNA evidence on something, it was there. If there wasn't, it wasn't. If there was gun residue here or wasn't, then yeah, whatever they told you, you believed. And that's out the window. That's gone now with this Clinton investigation. They really have blown that. I mean, people now think the FBI can be politicized at anything else that Obama touches, that the Democrats touch. Is Trump talking about this? Trump is. Let's jip Trump. Trump's out there in Manchester, New Hampshire, and our microphones are there. Let's listen to what he's got to say about this. Just a few minutes here. We don't have a lot of time. Crowd jazzed, as you can hear.
They are reopening the case into her criminal and illegal conduct that threatens the security of the United States of America.
Donald Trump, Manchester, New Hampshire. Live.
Hillary Clinton's corruption is on a scale we have never seen before. We must not let her take her criminal scheme into the Oval Office. I have great respect for the fact that the FBI and the Department of Justice are now willing to have the courage to right the horrible mistake that they made.
Well, wait. We don't know yet the DOJ's on board.
This was a grave miscarriage of justice that the American people fully understood.
Yeah, that's true. They really did.
And it is everybody's hope that it is about to be corrected.
Yep. It's not going to happen before the election, though. They don't move that fast.
So that is a big announcement that I heard 10 minutes ago. And I guess, obviously, most of you folks have heard about. And in all fairness, for all of the people that have suffered for doing so much less, including just recently, 4-star General James Cartwright, General Petraeus, and many others, perhaps finally justice will be done.
Donald Trump in Manchester, New Hampshire, here at a rally reacting to the FBI reopening the investigation into Hillary Clinton's emails.
With that being said, the rest of my speech is going to be so boring.
No, it won't, but we got to go.
Should I
Brief time out. We'll be back. We will continue here on the EIB network right after this. Don't go away. Oh, come on. They're going to drop her from the ticket right now? Come on. Look, let me look, welcome back, folks. Great to have you here on the EIB network. Trump may have misspoken. I am not sure. We don't know that the DOJ has signed off on this FBI investigation. The DOJ doesn't have to sign off on FBI investigation. The FBI can investigate whatever it wants. The DOJ gets involved when the FBI wants to indict or needs a grand jury. Now, they do work together, but there's nothing that says the FBI can't reopen something or investigate something without the DOJ's approval. And it could well be that Loretta Lynch doesn't know anything about this. It could well be. Paul Krugman of the New York Times they're all upset out there on the left. They're coming apart out there. They know what the potential here is, even if nothing happens in this investigation. Just the fact it's been reopened is a nail in a coffin. Whether it's the final nail or not, who knows? Paul Krugman of the New York Times saying Comey needs to provide full information immediately. Otherwise, he has clearly made a partisan intervention betraying his office. See, it was okay when Comey looked the other way. It was okay when Bill Clinton, partisan, got involved with Loretta Lynch. Yes, that was fine and dandy. Well, Comey reopened. You can't do that, not without us knowing what you're doing, not without us approving. And you better, if you're going partisan on us, against us, you better let us know. When Comey's partisan for them, that's the way things are supposed to be. Would you like to hear Wolf Blitzer getting the bad news? Audio soundbite number 22 this afternoon on CNN.
Breaking news I want to bring to our viewers right now. A new possible investigation by the FBI into Hillary Clinton's emails. Our justice correspondent, Evan Perez, is joining us now with details. What are you learning, Evan?
Wolf, the FBI director, Jim Comey, has sent a letter to members of Congress telling them that the FBI is taking a look at another set of emails that it hadn't previously taken a look at while it was doing its investigation. This letter that Comey has now sent to members of Congress says that new emails have now come to the attention of the investigative team. We're told that the investigators are now going to look at to see whether or not these additional emails that have been uncovered contain classified information, as well as whether to assess their importance to this investigation. Well, this means that the investigation we thought was over with is now back open. This is another worry for the Clinton campaign as we come to the closing days before the election.
Yeah, folks, it's all over the WikiLeaks document dump. Clinton staffers are actually, what does she think she's doing? This was about the time she was setting up the server. And Trump has made a point. Trump tweeted out, if my staff were talking about me the way Hillary's people talk about her, I would fire them. Meaning what Hillary staffers, we need to sober her up at 3 in the afternoon. I mean, the things that Hillary staff people are saying about her in their emails, it doesn't show. It shows fear, but it doesn't show a lot of respect. You know what it shows? It shows a bunch of people who think they're essentially producers, that they're running Hillary. As I read these emails from all these different people that are on Hillary's team, I get the impression they're the decision makers, and she's the robot. She gets sent out to do this, do that, and when she does things on her own, without telling them, like the server, they're bamboozled, they don't know what she's doing, and they're worried. And then there are emails like, it's the middle of the afternoon, do we need to send somebody up there to sober her up? For some function that was coming up later that night. So this is given the wild idea that Hillary is a daytime consumer of adult beverages. And so it's... And these leaks now, the WikiLeaks emails, are making the front page of the New York Times, the Washington Post, and they're becoming lead items at ABC, CBS, and NBC. And I'm telling you, it's because of the foundation and what's easily understood. The Clintons getting rich off their own charity. That's where that is headed. It's easy to explain. Well, it's not easy. It can be easy to explain if you know how to do it, but it's easy to understand that it's wrong. Everybody, low information otherwise, knows you're not supposed to get rich off your own charity. Charities is when you give money, not when you take it. Everybody understands that. The Washington Post original report on the opening of the investigation. In a letter to congressional leaders, Comey said the FBI had, in connection with an unrelated case, recently learned of the existence of emails that appear to be pertinent to the Clinton investigation. So, as I read this, Comey said the FBI had, in connection with an unrelated case, recently learned of the existence of emails. So the investigation had been shut down, but it wasn't closed. Well, maybe it was and they've reopened it. But what could be this unrelated case? It has to be WikiLeaks. It has to be what's in WikiLeaks. And the hacker, by the way, whoever it is, and I'm telling you right here and now, again, as I said yesterday, I do not believe it's Putin. I do not believe it's the Russians. I believe it's somebody who has got a real score to settle with the United States government over something. An individual. I don't think it's the Ruskies. I don't think it's the Chicoms. I don't think it's that oddball in the Philippines. I don't think it's the Norks. I think it's somebody else. But regardless, this WikiLeaks stuff is filled with intent, evidence of trafficking in classified information, which, again, Comey already admitted in his original press conference that she was doing that. So everybody's trying to figure out what happened, what is new here. I would like to offer a possibility. One of the most eye-opening revelations in the WikiLeaks email dump has been Clinton staffers, when learning that Obama lied, saying he didn't know about this server until he saw it on the news like everybody else. They knew that was a lie. They knew Obama was emailing with Hillary, and Cheryl Mills in an email to somebody said, "We have got to clean this up." You think Comey didn't notice that? Can you imagine who it is on the Hillary team that drew the short straw and has to tell her the FBI investigation has been reopened? You think they ran around, got the ashtrays and the flower vases out of the room first? The shot glasses, get those gone. Those are easy to pick up, those shot glasses. pick one of those things up. Even Hillary in her weakened condition could pick up a shot glass and throw that at somebody.
Live from the Southern Command in sunny South Florida, it's Open Line Friday.
You know, Hillary is in Iowa, and the camera is showing the front door of her airplane open and the stairs roll. Ah, there she comes. We've had that picture for 20 minutes. She's been on an airplane 20 minutes. Now she's waddling down the stairs. And got into the SUV with ease. Did not need any assistance getting into the SUV. See how fair we can be here. She sat on that airplane a long time before getting down those stairs. Anyway, greetings and welcome back. It's Open Line Friday. Rush Limbaugh here behind a golden EIB microphone. Our telephone number, if you want to be on the program, is 800-282-2882. The email address, lrushbo@eibnet.com. If you are just getting up or if you are just turning on the radio, the breaking news that happened about an hour ago, James Comey, the director of the FBI, sent a letter to various chairwomen of congressional committees announcing that they had come across additional emails that have caused them to reopen the Hillary Clinton email investigation. Apparently, they were discovered as the FBI was investigating an unrelated case. This is as much as is known. Everything beyond that now is learned analysis and speculation, such as, well, they surely wouldn't open this just as an inquiry. There has to be something seriously here. They're serious here. And with just a little over a week before the election to do this, I mean, they have to know the impact this will have on the media and on the campaigns. So there must be something serious to it. Otherwise, they could easily have waited till after the election to do this. Remember, Nixon didn't get nailed on Watergate till after he was inaugurated. And Watergate was learned that summer. The cynical view of this, I just want to share this with you again. We all know somebody in our circle of friends that's a cynic. And the cynical view, I'm not the cynic, by the way. And the cynics in my group irritate the hell out of me because they're usually negative know-it-alls. But nevertheless, in the interests of covering every base here, I must share with you the cynical reaction to this, which is the WikiLeaks email dump is beginning to have negative impact on the Hillary campaign. The WikiLeaks story has now made the front page of New York Times, CBS, NBC, Washington Post, ABC. It's now a lead story, and specifically the WikiLeaks information about the Clinton Foundation and how they're getting rich off of a charity. Even quotes from Chelsea Clinton to Doug Band saying, you got to stop this. It looks like you're hustling everybody. And he was. What he was doing, he was soliciting donations to the foundation. Let's just pick the ABC Widget Company. He asked the ABC Widget Company for a $4 million donation and then asked them to hire Bill Clinton as a consultant for $3 million. Another company was solicited for a $2.5 million donation and then asked to pay Hillary Clinton $500,000 for 2 speeches. This happened. Chelsea Clinton found out about it. She goes to Doug Band, who was the guy doing it. There's an email from him saying, look, I'm not the only guy doing this here. Bill Clinton was doing it. If you're going to focus on me, don't just look at me. Clinton himself was doing it. Chelsea sees all this. There's an email from Chelsea in which her reaction is recorded. And her reaction is, you got to stop this. It looks like you're out there hustling, which is exactly what he was doing. The Clintons have gotten rich off of their charity. That's easy to understand because charities are about giving money away, not taking it. But here comes this FBI investigation. Yes, and they're reopening it. And what's going to happen? The WikiLeaks story is going to take second, third, or fourth place. This is the cynical view. So the reopening of the FBI email investigation sweeps the WikiLeaks leaks off of all news coverage. And then next week, Comey sends another letter out saying our investigation is complete and there's nothing to see here. We found nothing new. We followed the lead that we had, and our investigation is now closed. And WikiLeaks will have been off and out of the news for 5 days. That is the cynical view of this. There are just as many other valid views of this. That it's serious. You want another view of this? I predict we're going to see this written by somebody somewhere. And Mr. Snerdley, you alluded to it a moment ago when you said the FBI does its own polling. James Comey enjoyed a flawless reputation before this. James Comey was heralded by everybody who had ever worked with him, from Patrick Fitzgerald to Andy McCarthy to John Ashcroft. I mean, the list of people that worked with Comey is long, and to a man, to a woman, they all attested to his virtue and his integrity and his being a straight shooter, that he's untouched by political concerns. Then his press conference, where he lists all of the violations of law that Hillary engaged in, but exonerated her on the basis that he couldn't find any intent. And his reputation took a huge hit. And people who had known him and worked with him for years began to ask what the hell happened to Jim Comey. That began to create speculation. Maybe Obama's got something on him. I mean, all of this stuff was out there, folks. It was being written about at the highest levels of intellectual dispatch. Respected journals, magazines, think tank newsletters, all kinds of learned people were speculating that James Comey had finally been corrupted by the Obama administration, that James Comey might have been pressured to recommend, which the FBI never does. The FBI never calls a press conference to say they're recommending nothing happen. That happens behind the scenes. We never see that. And the FBI never calls a press conference to say they're going to recommend the DOJ pursue charges. They do all of that behind closed doors, and it's the DOJ, the Attorney General, who does all the press conferences announcing what they're going to do. But it was highly irregular for Comey to go lay out his case, his evidence, and then say, no reasonable prosecutor would proceed, and so we are not recommending. Everybody was saying this is so unusual. This never happens this way, that somebody must have gotten to Comey. And the presumption is that Obama has politicized virtually every cabinet department, every agency of government. He's politicized it for the purposes of advancing his and the Democrat Party's agenda. And now that came to include Comey. Well, Comey heard all that. Comey saw all that. And as somebody who enjoyed a flawless reputation for the greatest integrity, this could not have sat well. So I suspect there will be those who theorize that Comey has been wallowing in guilt all of this time. And finally, as he perceives the WikiLeaks data, he realizes that he can no longer continue to act like nothing happened here when the WikiLeaks data is conclusive that there was so much going on and that there was intent to hide it. There was knowledge of trafficking in classified data, and that the president was engaging in it after lying and saying he wasn't. He was using a fake name, that the WikiLeaks document dump produced so much new evidence that Comey could not ignore it. I predict you'll see somebody write something along these lines over the course of the next couple of days. to explain what's going on. On the drive-by media side, CNN, the New York Times, ABC will attempt to downplay this, saying it's obviously perfunctory, that there's nothing to see here, or they will savage Comey as a partisan rat. They will say that Comey has been lying in wait all of this time, that they've known from the get-go that Comey was a Republican, and he's always been a Republican. He was waiting for the most opportune time to strike to do great damage to the great Mrs. Clinton. Paul Krugman of the New York Times has tweeted that Comey now is required to tell us everything right now. And if he doesn't, that the automatic conclusion is that this is nothing more than a partisan and therefore corrupt witch hunt. You see, when the left uses government to go after its enemies or advance its agenda, it's perfectly fine. If said happens under Republican auspices, then it poses a great threat to our very way of life. So that's basically where we are with this. There's no way this investigation can conclude before Election Day. It could, it couldn't, there's no way it's going to conclude with she's guilty, she did it. It could conclude, according to the cynic's take on this, next week Comey could say, nothing to see here. We've looked at it, sorry, but it's not what we thought it was. That could happen before the election. But a further investigation with more interviews and collection of evidence designed to get a conviction, something like that's not going to happen before Election Day. But it doesn't have to if it's legit. So that, off the top of my head, is what we have on this. There's one other thing I mentioned that might be the smoking gun here, if you will. Cheryl Mills, in one of these emails produced by the WikiLeaks dump, makes a reference to Obama having lied, not knowing Hillary was using a private server, not knowing she was trafficking in classified data. He said he didn't know about any of that until he saw it on the news. Well, they knew that he was lying because he was communicating with Hillary on her server under fake name. And the email from Cheryl Mills is something along the lines, how are we going to clean this up? So it could be that Comey saw that. There's intent. There is intent to suborn perjury. There's an attempt to break the law. There's an attempt to suborn lying, if not perjury. Obama wasn't sworn, but still, that could be enough to be what this is. The WikiLeaks stuff is important, too, because it's now starting to sink in and take hold. And Hillary is trending downward in the polls. She's going up in some others, too, by the way. The Investors Business Daily poll, she's up 3 today after Trump has been up all week. So it's volatile out there. And we're still at that stage where nobody really knows what's going to happen. But there is no shining star on Hillary Clinton right now. She's got trouble. She's always had trouble because she's not independently charismatic. She's not engaging. She's not... we learned in these WikiLeaks emails that they focus grouped people for 2 years, folks, in order to find out what kind of person Hillary should be. They focused. Now, Bill Clinton did that, too, during his presidency. Some of you who were too young to know this, do not doubt me. The Clintons actually tested and focus grouped where they should go on vacation. No, I'm not going to give it up. Presidential vacations, well, with Obama, you never know, they're all the time. Traditionally, they're August. The Clintons routinely had their pollsters assemble focus groups and test where they would get the greatest public reaction in terms of vacation location. They poll tested, they focus grouped everything. And we now know that Hillary focus grouped just what kind of person she should be. What that means is there's no way they can let Hillary go out there being who she is, because it doesn't work. So they had to focus group and poll test thousands of people to create a persona for Hillary to then act and try to pull off. Let's go to the phones. People patiently waiting. It is Open Line Friday. This is Jim in World Series Chicago. Great to have you on the program, sir. Hello.
Thanks, Rush. I appreciate it. I think I can connect the two dots here for you on the FBI investigation. Let me give you a little background just very quickly. Your question, why now with the FBI? WikiLeaks has been releasing these emails. They've been progressively getting worse as you've been going along. But if you recall, they've only been about Hillary. They haven't been her emails, and that's been the big thing, not her personal emails. Now, there's a guy on Twitter. He's a genius, Kim.com. I sent you an email link of his stuff. 2 days ago, he released a tweet, sent it to Trump, to Gowdy, and Sean Hannity, saying how they could access Hillary Rodham Clinton's email. Step 1, go to NSA.gov. Step 2, contact Mike Rogers. Number 3, ask Mike to go here and input this selector, her email address. He claims that all the 7 years of emails will be on there in the NSA spy cloud in Utah. Said Congress or Senate can get these with a subpoena. I tweeted that or sent it to Chaffetz. I think what was going to happen is that the Kim.com, these emails were going to come out showing Hillary's emails. I think that the Obama administration got wind of it, realized that their last chance to get ahead of this would be to say, have Comey come down now and say, hey, we just looked in some place. We didn't know they were there. She bleached it from her computer, and to get ahead of this. Give you a little background. Kim.com, the entertainment industry, alleged because of his mega upload that he...
Okay, hold on a minute. We're getting in the weeds here. What is your theory is that Comey came forward today? Why?
Because this guy, Kim.com, he's on Twitter.
No, I know Kim.com has directed everybody to Hillary Clinton's 33,000. So is your theory that Kim.com has enabled people to find Hillary Clinton's 33,000 emails? The Obama administration knows the jig is up, and to protect themselves, they're sending Comey out to take her out? Is that what you're saying?
Well, what the gig is going to be up. In other words, if they didn't front load it and come out now, they were going to release Assange, WikiLeaks, Hillary's emails next week, the actual emails. So I think they're coming out ahead of time saying, hey, we just found this place we didn't look at before. FBI didn't have access to the NSA or whatever they're going to say. And now this is the new stuff. We now have her. We actually found her actual emails, Hillary's actual emails, which, if you know, we haven't seen. We've only seen everybody else's about her. So I think they're just getting ahead of it, realizing the gig is up.
Okay, getting ahead of it for what reason? To protect her, to throw her overboard, to protect Obama? For what reason?
I think it's to protect Obama.
To protect Obama.
He had to cut her off because.
So you think that this is about throwing Hillary overboard to protect Obama?
Correct, because they realized that WikiLeaks had her emails. They were going to come out, so they needed to get ahead of the story before the public seeing those emails.
Okay, let me take it from here, since I know exactly what you're talking about. We've got a break coming up, but I will translate this. He knew he was under time crunch here. He was trying to get a lot of things in what he knew was limited time. We're going to take a break. I'll come back and I will tell you what his theory is involving Kim.com, a massive hacker, one of the greatest hackers in the history of hackery, and Hillary's 33,000 emails that are somewhere, and Julian Assange claiming that his next dump will get her arrested. Okay, let me bring you up to speed on the allegations or the suggestions made by our last caller. Kim.com, if you want to know who this guy is, think Napster times 100. Kim.com established essentially an outfit, a company website called Mega Upload. He was accused of costing the entertainment industry $500 million by putting unlicensed content on the mega upload site and movies, music, TV shows. You know, the stuff that you play a DVD or a digital copy and there's a giant FBI warning that you could go to jail for 15 lifetimes if you copy it. Well, that's what he did. $500 million of fraud. The legal case does involve, even though he's a citizen of New Zealand, he was born in West Germany, the United States got involved in his pursuit and was instrumental in him losing everything. He is an accomplished hacker. His real name is Kim Schmitz. He was born in 1974. He founded this file hosting service called Mega Upload. Was accused of criminal copyright infringement and tons of other charges, money laundering, racketeering, wire fraud by the U.S. Department of Justice. In January 2012, the New Zealand police raided his home in Auckland, New Zealand, placed him in custody in response to the U.S. He's not a U.S. citizen. He ended up losing practically everything because, in his view, of the United States. So, he reportedly has a relationship with Julian Assange, that they have common ground, and that is exposing the high and mighty and bringing them down. Now, Kim.com, I first got wind of this 2 nights ago on a super secret phone call. Kim.com. The caller was right. In all of these Podesta emails, there's not a single Hillary Clinton email in the bunch, if you have noticed. It's Podesta emailing everybody, the DNC, everybody in the Hillary campaign, but there are no Hillary Clinton emails in this Podesta dump. We are at, what's the number? We're at, what did I see, 50,000 or 30,000 Podesta emails. This guy was prolific emailer. There are tens of thousands of them so far, and none of them are Hillary's. Remember, she had 60,000 on her server. She turned 30,000 of them over and said the other 30,000 were nobody's business because they're about yoga and her daughter's wedding and wedding registry and reception and stuff like that. Well, along comes, to get to the short version of the story, Kim.com, alleging he knows where those 33,000 emails are. They were not destroyed, or even Hillary may think they were, but they are somewhere in the hands of the National Security Agency, the NSA. And he was offering anybody who cared a way to get them. He was offering people a route. He was claiming he knew how to get them. So our caller's theory is that that's what the FBI has now become aware of, is Hillary's emails that they were led to believe had been destroyed. Hillary deleted them, remember, with a cloth. She wiped the server. Oh, you mean like with a cloth? She said. Then we later learned that the Bleach Bunch did it. But they're there. And if they're there, if they're somewhere, there's something in them she doesn't want anybody to see. Along comes Kim.com, who's got an axe to grind with the U.S. government, the Obama administration. He knows Assange, so that the people, nobody knows it. This is all speculation. What's going on here is that Kim.com has worked with Assange and is really the hacker. It's not the Russians. So Vlad has nothing to do with it. And furthermore, the fact that the Russians have nothing to do with this and Obama and Hillary are running around blaming them is really irresponsible and playing with fire. You blame the Russians for interfering in a U.S. election when they're not doing it, and you expect them just to look the other way and claim, well, it's politics. We know how the Americans do. This is not the way Putin reacts. Putin does not react to being falsely accused of doing things like this, and he's not happy about it. It's irresponsible for Obama and the Democrats to be doing this. Assange has now said that he's got tons more emails coming next week, and that what's coming next week will get her arrested. So it's, as I say, I was getting bits and pieces of this as far back as 2 nights ago. So we get this caller who wants to talk about it, and I'll share with you what I know. I can't vouch for any of this other than who Kim.com is and has the ability to do this, whether he actually knows where Hillary's emails are and can direct people to it. Somebody knows whether that's true or not. But Assange is saying what he's saying. And Assange has said it's not the Russians that are giving him this data. And it's true that all this data does not have one Hillary Clinton email in it. And at some point, Assange claims that what you're going to see will be Hillary Clinton emails. And in the middle of all this is when Comey comes along and says, you know what, we've come across additional emails to reopen the investigation. So it puts all of this in a different light. So our caller was suggesting maybe Obama, the Democrats, it's now time to throw her overboard to protect themselves by not standing in the way of the FBI doing its investigation and conclusion, 33,000 emails. I don't even want to go there. That's caller speculation, and anybody can call here and say anything, and it could end up being right, but that's generally the kind of speculation I try to avoid throughout my entire career. I have no idea. But we just have to watch all this play out. Something is clearly going on, and this is unprecedented for the FBI to apparently close an investigation, reopen it with, 11 days left before an election. It's bombshell stuff, and the Democrats are not happy. Folks, I'll tell you one other thing here about all this. You know, we talk about them being worried Trump might not concede if he loses, and it could be impressive, it could be very damaging to our democracy. Let me tell you something. People whose identity, whose standard of living, whose money, whose self-importance, self-image, self-worth is all wrapped up in government, and if they, by losing an election, are forced out of that position, those are the people that you got to look out for. If people owe everything they've got, I'm talking about super rich, wealthy insiders. I'm talking about the elites. I'm not talking about welfare check recipients. I'm super rich elites who via cronyism and other arrangements have become super filthy rich. If that is taken away, that's Panic City. If the reason you're who you are is government and certain people running government, your friends, your buddies, and you donating to them, giving you power in running government, if all that's taken away from you, that's Panic City. People like you and me, our identity doesn't come from government. Our money doesn't come from government. Our standard of living doesn't come from government. So the establishment losing is not nearly as panic instilling as it will be for them. When your life and your identity and your self-esteem is totally wrapped up into being a big shot in government elites, and I don't just mean elected in government bureaucracies, I mean people that work with and have contacts and connections with it. When that's taken away, or it might be, well, that's Panic City. But people like us, if we lose an election, we have always relied on ourselves anyway. But my point here is that the people you really got to look out for if Hillary loses, it's not Trump if he loses. That's the problem. It's not they were putting up this BS that Trump's going to protest, Trump's going to concede, Trump's going to. If these people lose, all they got to do is hire Black Lives Matter and Planned Parenthood and any number of other groups to go out there and raise absolute holy smoly hell in the streets on election night and the ensuing days. I wouldn't put anything past them. If they, especially if they lose to Trump, an outsider that they have just hated from day one and have let everybody know how much they hate him, and they've tried to drive him out of the race because of getting everybody else to hate him. And if this guy actually would turn around and win, you don't have any idea. What? No way. Hillary Clinton's not responded to any of this. She's in Cedar Rapids. She's not going to talk about it. Let me tell you what's going to happen. The Clinton campaign will go focus group this. They'll assemble a bunch of Americans and they'll focus group whatever this FBI investigation means to these people. And once they figure out, based on their focus group test, what Hillary should say, they'll then call Maggie Haberman at the New York Times and a couple people at Politico, and they'll leak the Hillary reaction to this. And then Hillary will go out a couple hours or days later. Well, it'll probably not that many, there's not many days left. But you'll find out what Hillary thinks with the drive-by media. The people in her campaign will call them to leak what her reaction is. And then she will go out and try to act what the focus groups have told them the best way to deal with this is. So it'll take a while. So you're not going to get a response from her. You'll get surrogates on TV talking about what a bunch of reprobates Republicans are for even caring about this, but nothing from Hillary for a while. Ray in Livermore, California. Great to have you, sir. Hello.
Hey, deplorable, bitter clinger dittos.
Hey, great to have you. Sent a bunch of our deplorable T-shirts at Trump rallies, by the way. A bunch of Hillary, never Hillary T-shirts. Maybe you're one of them.
Yes, sir, I am. And I called before the news broke, but I have a question I thought was interesting, and I'd like your opinion. You talk about Twitter being the sewer, and it is, as your analysis is, perfect. Twitter went up for sale, and 4 major media companies have looked at it, and all of them have passed. And now Twitter hasn't earned a dime in profit in some 10 years of business. In fact, they're losing huge amounts of money. What is your opinion on why these big corporations, Disney and others,
you know what,
this Twitter?
Twitter is the most amazing thing to me. I don't think there is. They're not. Twitter, look at all the mentions Twitter gets. The news today. Half of the news that's reported is what reporters find said on Twitter. I don't know how Twitter loses money. But their number of people signing up and using it is down because it's apparently complicated for some people. But major corporations didn't want to buy it because Twitter hasn't been able to shut down the trolls. They have not been able to clean up the sewer. And I just don't think corporate ownership wants to identify with that. That's my guess. Hillary Clinton says, I will wake up every day in the White House to see what I can do to help children. With Cecile Richards, the nation's #1 abortionist, seated right behind her in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. See you Monday, folks.